Hey everyone, and welcome back. If you're diving into week 2 of NPTEL Computer Networks, you've hit the application layer. And if it's feeling a little chaotic, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to break this all down together.
I mean, it's like alphabet soup this week, isn't it? You've got DNS, FTP, TFTP, MIME. It's a lot. So if your head is spinning just a little, trust me, that is completely normal. There are a ton of moving parts to keep track of here.
But hey, don't worry. That's the whole point of this explainer. We are going to cut right through that confusion. We're going to break down all the key ideas from your course material and show you exactly how they tie into your assignment questions.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on what the application layer even is. Then we'll tackle DNS, the Internet's phone book. We'll compare FTP and TFTP and figure out how email attachments actually work. And then, the part you've been waiting for, we'll apply all this to solve specific questions from your assignment. We'll wrap it all up with a super fast recap. Sound good? Let's get started.
First up, cracking the application layer. The simplest way to think about this is that it's the top floor of the networking building. It's the one we actually interact with every day. When you're browsing a website, sending an email, or transferring a file, yep, you're using the application layer.
And this layer is a really busy place. It's home to a whole bunch of different protocols. Think of each one like a specialized tool in a toolbox. DNS is the tool for looking up addresses, FTP is for moving files, and HTTP is for browsing the web. Each has a very specific job, and today we're zeroing in on the exact ones you need to know for your Week 2 assignment.
Let's start with a really crucial one. DNS, the domain name system. And honestly, the best analogy for DNS is to think of it as the Internet's phone book. I mean, you don't memorize all your friends' phone numbers, right? You just look up their name. Well, DNS does the exact same thing, but for websites.
So, the magic of it is this. Instead of us having to memorize a long, complicated string of numbers, an IP address, for every single site, we just remember a simple name like iitkgp.ac.in. DNS is this massive global database that handles the translation from that name into the correct IP address so our computer can connect. It's a lifesaver.
Now pay close attention to this, because that little dot at the end is a major hint for assignment question 1. When you see a domain name that ends with a period, it's called a fully qualified domain name, or FQDN. That final dot represents the absolute root of the entire DNS system, which makes the address completely unambiguous. So is host.xyz.com a fully qualified domain name? The answer is a resounding yes.
Okay, next up, let's talk about moving files. For this, we have two main protocols, FTP, the File Transfer Protocol, and its simpler cousin, TFTP, the Trivial File Transfer Protocol. They sound almost identical, but they're built for very different jobs.
And this comparison really nails the key difference. FTP is the heavyweight. It runs on TCP, which is super reliable, and it has security features like asking for a username and password. TFTP, on the other hand, is the lightweight. It uses UDP, it's simple and fast, but, and this is the crucial part, it has no user authentication at all. This directly answers assignment question 2 about what makes FTP more secure. It's because TFT completely lacks any way to check who you are.
All right, let's switch gears to email. Back when email was first invented, protocols like SMTP were designed for just one thing, sending simple, plain text. That's it. But today, we send pictures, videos, PDFs. So how in the world does that actually work?
The magic ingredient is something called MIME. Think of MIME as a special translator. It takes your image or your audio file, and it basically wraps it up or encodes it into a text-based format that the old SMTP protocol can understand and carry. It's the essential trick that powers modern email. And yep, that's the key to solving assignment question 7, which asks which protocol lets you send non-ASCII data. The answer is MIME.
Okay, let's put all this theory into practice and tackle the assignment head-on. This is where we see how these concepts are framed in your actual questions.
So let's think back to our DNS chat. We know DNS is the system that does the translation. But what's the actual tool you use on your computer to ask a DNS server for that information?
The logic flows just like this. DNS is the big system. The resolver is the little client program on your machine that asks the questions, and the command you type to use that resolver is NSLOOKUP. It literally stands for Name Server Lookup.
So the definitive answer for question 10 is NSLOOKUP.
It's a fundamental tool for anyone working with networks and definitely one for you to know for this course.
Let's look at another one. This question is about HTML, the language of the web, which, remember, gets delivered by the HTTP protocol right here in the application layer. It's asking for the correct tag to create a link. And your course material makes this perfectly clear. The tag you need is the A tag, which stands for anchor. The destination of the link goes inside the href attribute, that's for hypertext reference, and the text you put between the opening and closing tags is what the user actually sees and clicks on. So for question 4, the correct answer is the one using that A tag. It's the basic building block that makes the World Wide Web a web of interconnected pages in the first place.
Phew, we've covered a lot of ground. So let's do a quick-fire review of the most critical points you need to remember for week 2.
Ready? Let's go. 1. DNS is the Internet's phone book, and NS lookup is how you use it. 2. A domain name ending in a .dot is an FQDN. 3. FTP is more secure than TFTP because of user authentication. 4. MIME is how you send attachments in email. And finally, a classic trick question. Remember that UDP is a transport layer protocol, not an application layer one. That's a huge distinction.
So we've figured out what these applications do. But that leaves a pretty big question, right? How does a request from your browser actually get to the server reliably? How does the network manage all that data transfer? Well, that is the job of the layer right below this one.
You made it through the application layer concepts for week 2. You absolutely have what you need to go and nail that assignment. Keep up the fantastic work, and I'll see you in the next explainer where we'll dive into the transport layer. Good luck!